The Path of Kriya Yoga, Video 9, Meditative Contemplation. From my understanding, through the instruction that I've had the privilege to receive, whether directly or indirectly, from the different masters within the lineages of Kriya Yoga, I have understood that Omkara, which is contemplation of the Om vibration, to be a key practice within this tradition. Now, contemplation of Om is not unique to the Kriya Yoga tradition. However, there is a great deal of emphasis given to it within this tradition. Teachers such as Lahiri Mahasaya and Sri Yukteswar, Paramahansa Yogananda, my own teacher Roy Eugene Davis, Hariharananda, and others have outlined the importance of focusing our attention on the subtle sound current, the Om vibration, and using it as a means for anchoring our attention. But not just for that. By anchoring and attuning ourselves, anchoring our attention to and attuning ourselves to the Om vibration, we're able to move to more and more subtle states of clarified consciousness. It's said that by contemplating Om, we can return or move past all the impediments, all the obstacles, all the fragmentation which occurs in consciousness until we arrive at a state of pure conscious realization. So, using this technique, contemplation of Om, is key to our success in Kriya Yoga meditation practices. So, the pranayama techniques and the other preliminary techniques we may use are a means for us to refine our nervous system and to cultivate a state of one-pointed concentration which is deep. And then in this state, and through the process of cultivating this state, we are able to observe what could be referred to as the sound of silence, the primordial sound of manifestation, the Om vibration. And so we need to remember that this is one of the key components to our Kriya Yoga practice. Contemplation of our true essential nature is also a key part of Kriya Yoga meditation practice. This falls under the part of the threefold path as outlined by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali in verse 2.1, or the first verse of Book 2, where Kriya Yoga is described as being self-discipline, self-study, and surrender to God. Well, self-study is very much what contemplation of the self is. So when we arrive into a state of deep, concentrated awareness through the preliminary practices which we've been doing, we are in a space where our thoughts are very subtle. And in fact, our awareness can be very much attuned to the one single thought, which is, I exist. Omkara, the sense of individual existence. And so by directing our attention solely to this thought and inquiring into its source, so we're questioning, who am I, or what am I, or who is the I that we perceive ourselves to be, or what is the I that we perceive ourselves to be. When we sit with that in this space of deep concentrated awareness, we contemplate our essence. And so with both practices, both the practice of contemplation of Om and contemplation of the self, it's not a case of us rationalizing or reasoning our way through so that we gain some kind of logical understanding. It's a process of us moving from gross levels of concentrated awareness to more subtle levels of concentrated awareness to very refined states of concentrated awareness, where our focus is directed solely to either Om or to contemplation of I. And what we're doing then in that space is we are simply sitting, directing our attention towards it, and holding the intention to find out where it comes from, Where does the Om come from? Where does the sense of I come from? And we're sitting with it, and by abiding in it and immersing yourself in it, endeavoring to understand the source, to perceive the source, to directly experience the source, we gradually dissolve all boundaries which prevent us from perceiving absolute unified consciousness. So contemplation of both Om, or the self, are fundamental parts of Kriya Yoga meditation practice. And all the techniques we've been using up until that point are just a means for us to refine the nervous system, to allow for us to process states of more expanded consciousness. But in the silence, that's when we can really let go and experience what is beyond the sense faculties and the faculty of mind.